Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Billie Cross, the MLA for Seine River. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that we're gathered on Treaty 1 territory, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Aninawak, Anishinaabe, Dene, and Dakota peoples, and on the homeland of the Red River Métis Nation. We recognize the strength and leadership of Indigenous women, whose knowledge and care have shaped these communities for generations. As we come together today to strengthen supports for women's health, we do so with a responsibility as a government to advance reconciliation through real action and to build a system that truly reflects and respects the experiences of all women. Thank you all for being here today. Today's announcement is another important step in rebuilding our healthcare system and in making sure women and those experiencing menopause have the support they deserve. To get us started, please join me in welcoming the Premier of Manitoba, the Honourable Wab Kinew.
All right, very happy to be here today for some good news. We're very proud to announce $5.2 million to create the Manitoba Menopause Clinic. We said we were going to do it, and now we are. Promise made, promise kept. Women deserve high-quality health care through every season of life. And as you go through the season of menopause, I think there's so many unique opportunities for Manitoba's healthcare system to be there to support you, to help you, and also to ensure that your long-term health is going to be made stronger. Manitoba once led the way when it came to delivering menopause services, and now we want to reclaim that spot, and that's why our health minister brought coverage for hormone replacement therapy to not only help with the cost of living, but also to help with the quality of life so that we can invest in prevention. And now this new clinic that is going to be there for women experiencing menopause is going to be that full 360 wraparound of services to help complement everything that you need to be able to have the best of life here in Manitoba. We're restoring the leadership that our province once had, and I got to say, the people who chose the location, you knocked it out of the park choosing this part of southwest Winnipeg. But even though it's near a bunch of other services that you may want to access, this is going to be a service for the entire province. So not only will it benefit Winnipeggers, this will benefit women from the north, from western Manitoba, the south, east, the Interlake, everywhere. This is going to be a real draw. And so respect for women, respect for women's health care. This is what our team's all about. We're very, very proud of this announcement. Miigwech merci. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Premier. Next, I want to bring up someone who's doing incredible work every single day to strengthen and rebuild our healthcare system. Please welcome Canada's best Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care, Uzoma Asagwara.
Thank you so much, Billie. Thank you so much, Premier. I mean, I don't know where else in the country you're going to find a premier who talks about menopause as often as this amazing premier, right?
I get it.
Yeah, he gets it. And this is what a government can do, right? Set the tone for how we treat women's health care, how we invest in women's health care, and to not shy away from what more than half of the population navigates, and to treat it with the care and respect and investment that it deserves. So that leadership in Manitoba starts at the top, and I hope that women across this province can see that and trust in that. And so we are so proud to be here to announce that we are going to reopen the Manitoba Menopause Clinic here in our province. And more than that, we're here to highlight yet another investment in women's health care. We know that women's health care matters. We know that women are not second-class citizens, And the way a government talks about women's health care, invests in women's health care, and strengthens women's health care has a very real impact on citizens and communities across this great province. And so our government is doing the work in partnership with experts, in partnership with those who've been advocating for years. And I want to take a moment to say thank you. I want to thank the physician experts who've been working with us every step of the way, who have been advocating for years. I want to thank the Manitobans who have been loud and proud and strong advocates for this kind of care in our province. I want to thank patients who have made very, very clear to us that this is something that needs to be in our province for all Manitobans. Your voices, your advocacy have led us to this moment today. It is your voices and your advocacy and your expertise that is going to help guide the way forward as we ensure that in every corner of the province, women navigating menopause do not go through that alone. They have access to the care, the supports, and the resources they need, as the Premier said, to navigate that season with the dignity and respect they deserve. So we know that we're here today due in part largely because the previous government made a terrible decision back in 2017. They made the decision to cut and to close the Mature Women's Clinic. That was a devastating decision. Many, many, many Manitobans spoke up and pleaded with them to not take that step. Doctors pleaded with them to not take that step. Women who were receiving care pleaded with them, and they didn't listen. They went ahead and they cut and closed that service anyway. And we know that that has had real consequences on thousands, on countless women across this province. For a long time, women were told just to wait and go without. Women were told to travel or just to honestly give up on ever having that resource in your province. And that was unacceptable. And that is a shameful part of the PC record that we are writing. It was a wrong that we're writing here today. And when we were elected, we made a commitment to Manitobans that we would not only rebuild healthcare, but we would restore a vital service. And so today, yes, we are restoring that service. We're giving it a new name, a name that better represents and reflects what this care needs to be, the Manitoba Menopause Clinic. It is going to be a leader in Canada. We're going to make sure that we work with experts so that it is. And this $5.2 million investment is just the start. We're establishing this here in southwest Winnipeg, but we know that we're establishing this in a way that's going to connect patients to providers all across this great province. It means that people won't have to search without care and go without it. It means they're going to be able to access care and keep accessing that care right here at home. And so with that long-term vision in mind, I want to thank everybody who helped us get to this point. This moment right now is another example of what we can achieve when we work together. And this kind of partnership, relationship building, and respect for healthcare expertise is the approach that we're seeing really make a difference here in Manitoba. So let's keep that going, and let's keep making sure that we stand up more healthcare that supports women in every corner of our province. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Minister. Now I'm pleased to welcome someone who brings important first-hand experience as a former patient of the Mature Women's Centre, Amanda LaRouche-Tell.
So I am Amanda LaRouche-Tell. I'm 66 today, which makes me well mature.
Woo, happy birthday.
No, it's not my birthday. It's not my birthday.
You're just 66 now.
I just am 66. But when I was 46, I was a most grateful patient of the Mature Women's Centre before it was shut down. And today I am so happy to celebrate the announcement of the new Manitoba Menopause Clinic. Speaking purely for myself, being a woman is a bit mysterious and a lot messy. My body does things that I experience and I put up with, but that I don't necessarily understand. And for sure that I don't always like. There can be blood and there can be pain. And for me, there was a lot of both. Doctors throughout my adult life had mostly dismissed my condition. Oh, they said, you're past 30, you've not had children. It's normal, just the way it is. I didn't want to believe it, but no one else in my circles was experiencing what I was. I was confused and I felt alone. It wasn't until I found my way to the Mature Women's Centre that I was told 3 things that changed my life. This is not normal, it's not in your head, and we can help. And they did. I won't go into the details, I'll spare you that, but I will say that the physician and the nurses were extraordinary. They knew mature women and the many permutations of our bodies and our reproductive systems, and they solved my health concern. They said they could, and they did. There is no shame in what our bodies go through, but there is still too much silence, way too much misunderstanding. The experts I met at the Mature Women's Centre focused on me as a mature woman, experiencing excessive bleeding and debilitating pain, and they changed my life with their knowledge, their skill, and their care. And with today's announcement, women in Manitoba can look forward to similar treatment once more. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda, for sharing your story with us all. And next, please join me in welcoming someone with deep expertise in women's health, Dr. Rebecca Renkas.
All right. Thank you, Minister, and thank you to everyone here today. I've spent a decade working in women's health, and menopause care has been at the center of my practice for most of that time. I was a physician at the Mature Women's Centre when it was open. I was there in 2017 when the decision was made to close it, and I was one of the voices that spoke publicly against that decision. At the time, I said that closing the clinic felt like sending our patients into the abyss. I worried that they would fall through the cracks. I worried that continuity of care would be lost. I worried that the women who relied on specialized, coordinated care would pay the price. I wish I could tell you that I was wrong. I wasn't. When the centre closed, Manitobans were told that the care provided was redundant. We were told that primary care and community gynecology could absorb the need without a problem, that this specialized model simply was not necessary. I want to tell you that that was what that has now looked like in practice. Wait times for Manitoba Health covered specialized menopause care can extend beyond 6 months and often more than a year. And those waits are not shrinking, they are growing. Because the demand never disappeared when the centre closed. It was only hidden, pushed into family practices and gynecology offices that were already full, carried quietly by women who assumed that the exhaustion, the brain fog, the sleeplessness, the pain were just something they had to live with. The promise was that the need could be met elsewhere. The reality is that it could not. It was not, and the gap in care has only widened. Awareness of menopause and perimenopause has grown dramatically in recent years, and the demand for informed, multidisciplinary care is going to keep growing. This province needs to be ready for that. Menopause is not a single event. It's a transition that unfolds over time, and for many patients, symptoms change and intensify in ways that require ongoing assessment and adjustment. Without continuity, women who should be thriving at this stage of life spend years feeling dismissed or unwell. That's the gap this clinic is designed to help close. Bringing this model of care back into the community gives patients access to a coordinated, team-based approach that allows providers to look at the full picture. It allows us to consider how different symptoms may be connected and to adjust care over time. It brings together the time, expertise, and collaboration needed to truly support patients through menopause while also strengthening education and knowledge sharing across the system. Thank you, Minister, for listening to patients and clinicians. Thank you for understanding that women's health at this stage of life is not optional and not a place to cut corners. And thank you for taking this very important first step towards solving this problem. For the patients who waited, this matters. For the clinicians who watched the gap widen, this matters. And for future generations of Manitobans whose lives will be impacted by menopause, this matters. I'm proud to be a part of what comes next. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Renkas, for your leadership and dedication. That brings us to the end of today's announcement. Thank you all for being here and for being part of this important step we're taking forward. We'll now open up questions to the media.
Sure.
Why this location? Why that?
Sure. So this location is great for many reasons. First and foremost, it allows for these clinicians. We've also got Dr. Poliquin, who's here, who has been also leading this work. Dr. Don't want to mispronounce your last name, Ivaniuk, who's here as well. So we've got, these wonderful clinicians who have worked very, very hard to help us design a program that is going to meet the needs of now, right? So this program was cut now almost 10 years ago. The understandings of menopause and everything around that have evolved since then. And so we wanted to make sure that we could establish and create a space that would not only restore what was cut, but give these clinicians the tools and the space to grow and to evolve and to make sure that more of women's needs can be met through this service, and that they would have the ability to reach folks across Manitoba. So this is a location, on a bus route. There's ample parking, but it's really a place that allows for a bit of a hub and spoke model. Again, you can grow in this space. They can evolve the practice to meet people's needs, and then also connect with providers across the province as we grow this program over time. No. This is kind of like the new wave, like the modern sort of, no, we're not, this is just a shell. This is just, as you can see, it's a shell. The work is going to be happening right away to build this out. Again, led by these clinicians and other providers, so nurses, dietitians, other folks who have this expertise. And so this really allows for them to bring their expertise to the table and then, bring to life what this service, what this care should really look like. So it's pretty exciting that they have a literal blank slate that they get to work from. And again, our goal here is to make sure that we reestablish this service, but that we evolve and we grow this service to meet the needs of women across this province. We want Manitoba to be a leader. We want to be innovative in this space, and this is going to allow us to do that. We're looking at right now fall of 2027. Quite frankly, we'd love to see it earlier, and so we're going to be working with all of our partners to get this work going quickly and to make sure that we can get this reestablished as soon as possible for Manitoba women who have been waiting long enough. This was closed, like I said, almost a decade ago. It's long overdue they have this service in Manitoba. And our goal here is to make sure that we grow this for years and years and years to come. We want to protect this care for Manitoba women and those who need it for a very long time. I couldn't give you an exact breakdown of what the staffing numbers will look like, but we're going to have doctors here, nurses, dietitians, physiotherapists. I think the other really key component to this is that they're going to have direct connections to specialized care. So whether it's cardiologists, endocrinologists, other folks that we know need to be connected to this care are going to be. So this is going to be a very comprehensive service. I could probably ask Dr. Poliquin maybe if you want to speak to that a little bit. We talked about it recently. If you want to share a bit of how this connects to other specialties. Yeah, please.
Thanks very much. I wasn't prepared for this. So as Minister Asagwara said, we have a comprehensive team stretching from family practice to specialized care, and we are really envisioning a hub and spoke model where we can identify what patients' needs are and meet their needs in a customized fashion, whether that be through physiotherapy, through mental health supports, through endocrinology. We're going to make sure that we are their guide and their partner through this transition in life, and this will be the hub with spokes looking at all the different healthcare services available in this province.
Thanks, Dr. Poliquin.
Thanks.
Ouais. Oui, certainement. Tu parles français?
No.
Non. Mais elle comprend le français, alors c'est...
Dr. Poliquin is very
Do you want to? Yeah. Great.
Oh boy, maintenant spontané et en français. Absolument. Notre but, c'est d'avoir des services qui peuvent servir à tous ceux qui vivent au Manitoba. Et si on rencontre qu'il y a des services qui ne peuvent pas être fournis en français, on va faire de notre mieux d'avoir des interpréteurs pour parler en français, mais aussi que tous les documents, l'instruction, les connaissances sont livrés dans les deux langues, français et l'anglais. Merci pour la question. Donc, au Manitoba, on a le pouvoir d'avoir des interprètes. Donc, si un médecin n'est pas disponible en présentiel, en français, on a toujours les manières de connecter les patients avec les soins dans leur langue maternelle.
OK. Merci beaucoup. That's awesome.
Yeah, the 5.2 is it's for the programming, right? So there's the 5.2 is going to see us restore and build out the entire program. Again, this is the start. So we know, obviously, we know the service that existed previously. We wanted to make sure that we could fully restore that service. That $5.2 million is going to allow us to do that. But again, we also know we need to grow the service. So we do anticipate getting a bit more resource added to this to make sure we can continue to grow this program. And I also want to say that there's a lot of interest in this program from the business community. And so we're very, very excited to work with all partners to make sure that we can reestablish this service in a way that really does entrench it as an essential part of healthcare for generations to come. And so we're working with folks across obviously the system, but we're looking at other partnerships too to make sure that anybody who's excited about investing in women's healthcare in this province, investing in menopause care, has the opportunity to do so. There are folks who are very excited in Manitoba to see this be reestablished and who want to be a part of us building this out for the long term. So we're exploring those conversations. This $5.2 million is dedicated for this program. It is going to make sure we can fully reestablish it and then make sure that we have the room to grow. But it is, our government is going to continue, as you've seen, to invest in women's health care. This is a priority that is fixed for our government, whether it's HRT being free for women across this province, which is an affordability measure, it's a healthcare measure, it's an equity measure, or it's other aspects of reproductive health care. So every single budget, we've made substantial investments in women's health care. This is no different. And of course, we're going to work with partners to find some really, new ways in Manitoba potentially that we can strengthen this care. I'm going to save that for another announcement, Carol, but I do look forward to sharing that news with you folks, hopefully sooner than later.
Pardon me, can you just repeat the question? Well, as much as I think most of the province hasn't liked the cold spring, the cold weather has actually been helpful in Peguis. So over the past week in particular, a lot of progress was made, including over the weekend, and flood protection for the homes there. There's still dozens more that need to get attention. So that's where things stand today. The evacuations are the prerogative of the local leadership. So you heard Chief Bird, who's an excellent leader, speaking to that over the weekend, and we'll be there to support. I can also tell you that there are many other communities across Manitoba, whether it's in the Parkland or Westman areas, that are thinking about flooding, so we stand ready to assist there. And earlier today I also spoke to Chief Crate from Seine River, which is just downstream from Peguis, and similar anticipation, hope for cool weather, but Fisher River's looking like they're in a relatively good position, all things considered, with the flood preparation. So again, we'll be ready to help there too. Sur la même question? Oui. Mais aujourd'hui, à Peguis, il y a plusieurs douzaines de maisons qui continuent à avoir beaucoup d'activités où le monde de notre gouvernement, de l'assistance fédérale, des Premières Nations se travaillent ensemble pour lutter contre cette inondation que nous verrons cette semaine. Puis il y a des autres endroits de notre province, à l'ouest, à Parkland, qui ont vécu d'inondations à cause du tempête la semaine dernière. Et puis finalement, aujourd'hui, j'ai aussi parlé au chef du Fisher River Cree Nation, M. Crate. Et puis chez eux, je pense qu'ils ont pas mal fait la plupart de leur préparation, mais tout le monde voit le potentiel d'une autre tempête cette semaine et nous espérons que, on ne va pas voir plus de neige. Retired chief, yeah.
What do you say that Billie thoughts about the Constitution?
We did take a look at this extensively. And I think part of, if you go back to the process that went to passing this bill, a lot of that was due to the extensive work that we did thinking about people's charter rights. But we know that in a free society, everyone's free except for reasonable limits that the government can put on your freedoms when you start to harm others. That's the nature of, if somebody's committing a crime, a violent crime, the state can incarcerate them because you are subject to reasonable limits. And I think everyone who sees what's going on with meth in our streets these days recognizes that the balance is out of whack. And we have to get back to reasonable limits and keeping the community safe. And so one of the things that we have to keep in mind is we cannot let the sickest person in the community determine the well-being for everyone else. If someone has experienced terrible trauma and is really going through it with addictions, they shouldn't decide if grandma's going to be safe at the bus stop or if the kids are going to be safe walking home from school. In fact, I would argue that there's a moral imperative for the society to step in and offer assistance to those who are unwell. And that's what we're doing with the Protective Care Center. Now, when it comes to the retired chief psychiatrist, I have respect for this person and their clinical expertise. I can tell you that that sort of viewpoint that he's advancing was deliberated on very carefully. And that's why physicians have been involved in every step of designing this service. And even as we stand here today to talk about this, if somebody is picked up, they're taken to the emergency room first to be assessed. And only when they're deemed to actually be suffering from alcohol or toxic drug influence would they be taken to the Protective Care Center. So I respect this physician's expertise, and I think they're coming from the right place. But I'm very, very confident that when Manitobans and when a court looks at what we've gone through, it's been a very rigorous process that will stand scrutiny. And that's because Manitobans deserve it. Manitobans deserve safer streets, and we can't just have kind of an ad hoc approach to safety and mental health and addictions. It has to be very, very rigorous. And so you'll also remember, following this bill coming into law, there was a number of delays to accepting patients, and those delays were to work with the psychiatrists and ER docs to ensure that the highest medical standards would be in place and that the training would be there for those working at the facility. So the final thing that maybe I could add to give a bit of context here is that this facility has been open for a number of months now. It has been accepting people who are, intoxicated off of meth for a number of months now as well. I can tell you that at least at the last update that I had, no one had been held for more than 24 hours. The vast majority of people being taken there continue to be there as a result of alcohol. So again, meth gets the headlines. Meth concerns us when we drive by something on Portage or on Main Street, rightfully so. It's terrible. Alcohol still continues to cause so much damage across our province. So again, this is, I hope, a necessary step in what is a new approach to alcohol and addictions medicine in Manitoba. We invite the scrutiny. We invite people to challenge and to ask questions about charter rights and freedoms. We think that this approach will pass what should be a very high bar, because at the end of the day, this is about ensuring that the state, us as your provincial government, is taking the right approach when it comes to the needs of the many, balanced against trying to deliver a compassionate response to a very vulnerable few. Well, the vast, so you got 20 spaces in there right now. On a given day, it's full. But it's not full with, it's not like a hotel where one person's there for 24 hours, right? That you would have like a number of overlapping lengths of stay. Some people might be there only for a few hours before they're deemed clinically ready to be released, and the judgment fundamentally there is they're not going to be a harm to themselves or others in the community. So yeah, the vast majority of cases continue to be alcohol. A fraction of those are meth. I think it's less. You want to add 11%?
11 people have been taken there other than alcohol.
Yeah. So we can follow up some specific numbers if you like, but that should give you a rough lay of the land. Yeah. Yeah, we'll be sharing those numbers. We could share them relatively soon. Yeah. It's an emergency room physician. Yeah, so effectively what happens is, well, we've all seen it. Somebody's on a street corner having an argument with themselves, or, having a fist fight with no one. And something like that, they're not committing a crime by being intoxicated, so the police or whoever is not going to be able to arrest them. But on the flip side, like again, if you see a senior waiting at the bus stop or a kid walking to the convenience store, it seems like it's just a matter of time before something bad is going to happen. So rather than taking a laissez-faire attitude and saying that we're just going to throw our hands up, we're saying, well, given what we're experiencing with a very severe addictions crisis in Manitoba, this person is going to be taken, usually by police, to an emergency room. Now, before this law passed, it typically would have been up to that police officer to stay there at the emergency room. So part of this is about emergency room capacity, part of it's about law enforcement capacity, but really this is about responding to the addictions crisis and all of its totality and in a global view. So anyways, so that person is there, and we have to have that person assessed by a physician in the ER, at which point they could be transported to the Protective Care Center. From there, the ongoing assessment on a regular basis happens by the docs who are involved in that facility, as well as the other people who are on hand. If you have visited an emergency room recently, particularly on a weekend, you will know that there are a lot of people causing a lot of issues, including in the waiting room. And so this is part of that response as well too. This is about healthcare staff, this is about healthcare patients. Again, the status quo is not working. The cartels and everybody, they put, we'll say, billions of dollars into advancing, getting vulnerable people hooked on drugs and making their lives miserable. Governments have been slow to respond. In Manitoba, we're not going to accept that. We are going to innovate, and we're going to work with the evidence, we're going to work with community, we're going to bring forward new approaches. And as part of bringing forward new approaches, we do expect people to challenge these things. But I want to reassure Manitobans, this is constitutional. This is guided by the evidence. This is guided by community. And we expect that this will be able to stand scrutiny, not just from judges and physicians, but also from you, the public, who know what is happening with this terrible scourge of addictions in our province. Not aware of the video, so maybe I could catch up and get back to you. But that said, birth alerts are banned in Manitoba. Okay, merci beaucoup.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, that's amazing.